Hi and welcome. I'm Steve Martirano, and this is the Behavioral Corner. You're invited to hang with us as we discuss the ways we live today, the choices we make, the things we do, and how they affect our health and well-being. So you're on the corner, the Behavioral Corner. Please hang around a while. I actually get to hang on the corner. It's just, I was suited for this, I think. And what we do here is we talk about the anything that has to do with behavioral health. So what's behavioral health? Very briefly, it's the decisions we make, the choices we decide upon, all of which go to impact our behavioral health, spiritually, mentally, physically. So we like to say that the Behavioral Corner is a podcast about everything. And we got a good one for you today. For those of you who may not have heard of him, and there probably aren't many of you, our guest today on the corner has lived a pirate's life. Pat Croce has swashbuckled his way in the tradition of Earl Flynn's Captain Blood and Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow. From his days building up elite athletes as a sports trainer to his building up a multi-million-dollar training and treatment business, Pat's looked for challenges wherever he could find them. And he succeeded. He succeeded extraordinarily as an entrepreneur in the hospitality business. He's been a radio and television host, motivational speaker. And of course, last but not least, he was the president and part owner of his beloved Philadelphia 76ers basketball team, the last great moment of that franchise, I might add. And incidentally, he found time during all of that to actually go look for sunken pirate treasure, remarkably enough. And in the 30 years, and that's how long it's been, Pat, since I've known Pat, he's accomplished all that and more. And he's done it in the glare of the media spotlight. He embraced it. He looked for it. He wanted it, and that's where he did his best work. He is then, simply put, a man who has lived his life out loud, and then suddenly, poof, gone. About 6 years ago, Pat slipped away from that game, which involved so much celebrity and spotlighting, and he began to search for something that wasn't buried under the sea, but was buried in himself. And that quest has brought him right back out in the public with a brand new mission, a brand new challenge, and that is fighting cancer and helping others who are also doing the same. So we are absolutely delighted to have him join us this time on the Behavioral Corner. Patrick, how are you, buddy?
Stevie, I'm doing great. What an introduction. I hope I can live up to that.
Well, yeah, did I get it right? I got most of that right.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Well, you're an easy subject. So yeah, so I did that little, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, and is Pat Croce with him? Because 6 years ago, I mean, you weren't a hard guy to find if you were in the sports business or in the Delaware Valley where we spent our time. You took it upon yourself to challenge yourself, and you did it publicly. You from climbing up bridges and dropping down out of the rafters in a building to drafting Allen Iverson, you were out there in the public, and then you disappeared. I mean, in one sense, you disappeared from that. That happened six years ago. I can't believe it. So let's talk about that, because I know this is a very important subject for you. What happened 6 years ago that set you off in the direction you're in now?
So let me take you a couple months before that 6-year pivot point. It's the end of 2014. November 2nd, I'm turning 60 years old. And I'm in a conference room with all of my general managers of our restaurant hospitality business in Key West, St. Augustine. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering to myself, what am I doing here? Sports medicine, I really enjoyed working on your body. Uh-huh. 76ers, I enjoyed bringing the energy and the fandom and the pride back to the city of Philadelphia through their sports franchise. But the next great grouper sandwich, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed leading a team. I enjoyed the marketing. I enjoyed the buzz. But I was retiring at the end of 2014. My son and son-in-law were all ready to take over the reins. And it wasn't my passion. I asked myself, I'm not pursuing my own passion here. So I retired at a third time after each sales, Sixers, sports medicine. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. but I was still in an ego trip. I was still looking for the next book, the next motivational talk, the next pat on the back. And Stevie, it's January, early January, and I'm on a plane ride back to Key West, and I pick up a magazine. It's a travel magazine, and there's this writer, Pico Iyer. Never heard of him. He's a travel writer, but he's also in the spiritual realm. And he says this one statement in this article that really had an impact on me. I can't even tell you why, but he said, most of our life occurs in our head. Memory, imagination, speculation, interpretation. So if you want to change your mind, you best begin by if you want to change your life, you best begin by changing your mind. And that was like a satori in Zen. It's a no mind moment where total inspiration happens. That aha, I went, whoa. Now, I can change a body. I've done that all my life, from pros to amateurs to collegiate to Olympians. I can change my opinion in a blink. But can I change my mind? Like, seriously, can I change my mind? So that led me, Steve, to see his TED Talk on stillness. Now, why stillness would interest me, my hyperactive personality, is like the secret among all secrets. But nevertheless, I watch it and I'm thinking about sitting still. I don't know, he's talking about stilling the mind. That leads me to another TED Talk on mindfulness. Never heard the word before. This Andy Podicombe, a retired ex-Tibetan monk, and you now know him because his meditation app, Headspace, is so very popular. One that I started with and recommended highly. And then that led me to a third TED Talk. I was getting juiced up here. I was really fascinated by this realm that had nothing to do with me. I never put my mind on my mind. The third TED Talk was by Matthew Ricard. Matthew Ricard, a Frenchman, the interpreter for the Dalai Lama. He wrote a book on happiness. He was the one that was the guinea pig for all the MRI, prior to MRI, all the meditation studies at the University of Michigan, because he could go into any kind of samadhi at will. And he wrote The Monk and the Philosopher. His father's a famous philosopher in France, and he left the Pasteur Institute under a Nobel Prize winner at 26 to go to Tibet. Well, a couple of years later, I'm dragging Diane up into the mountains of Bhutan to be with him up in a monastery, which was wonderful, like truly wonderful. But nevertheless, that was the start. So I pursued it. I went deeper into it, went to retreats. I started reading it. And then something happened where I say it was a crack in my mind. And I don't know if it's a shift of consciousness, but the whole perspective of the world changed. And so for the next several years, I went on a quest around the world to find out what the fudge happened. Like, what happened? And that was it. And that really changed my entire perspective of the world.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, Pat? As a retired hippie, we were very much, if you were curious, very much exposed to Eastern philosophies during the late 60s and early 70s. And it's always struck me as interesting that people steeped in Western traditions would look for the answer, if there is one, in the East. And you certainly, in your life, as I've known you, and the public has known you, had the quintessential Western mind, the American mind, the frontier, the individual, the conquer any mountain, and the drive forward. And at the end of that, when you go, as you did, now what? It's interesting how we go someplace else. Does that strike you as unusual or just a natural progression to look to, you're Catholic, you're a fine Catholic boy. How do you wind up involved in Eastern philosophy? Does that strike you as odd?
Totally odd, totally. But once you do it and you delve into it, it's so familiar. It's so comfortable. It's so intimate. Like, how come I didn't know this for the first 60 years of my life? How come I'm never taught this? But it really is about everything I did, Steve, was what's next. And Diane would ask, what are you chasing? What are you afraid of? And I'd get out of here. What are you talking about? What am I afraid of? I'm not afraid of anything. Look at this leather jacket. Look at this 4th degree black belt. Look at it was all BS, right? It was all BS. And what's next? the next sports medicine center, the next Sixers win, the next restaurant, the next motivational talk, the next accolades in the paper. It was always a temporary high. I was going out in search of happiness, the purpose of the universe, happiness, into some external objective experience, not knowing I was in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's the key there is the word external. That there's something out there, and that'll make it all right, and that'll make it all happy, and then it turns inward. So that's.
And Steve, how can anything in this temporary, illusory world make you permanently happy? You find out that the happiness, peace, and love that you inherently are, our true self with a capital S, is that which is just aware of all these thoughts coming and going, feelings coming and going, sensations coming and going, worldly perceptions coming and going. But what doesn't leave? Just that aware presence, the I that I am. And it's amazing once you realize that I am that was looking in the mirror when you were 6, 16, 26, 66 has never changed.
Yeah.
That expression in the mirror, that's been all colored up.
No, I know. It's my favorite expression when people go, do you travel a lot? And I go, no, not so much, because I find that no matter where I go, there I am. And that's just an excuse for being lazy, I guess. We have many conversations here on the Behavioral Corner, some of which have to do with substance abuse and how people find their way out of that, but just in general, how people quest after the kinds of answers you're talking about. And people return to this thing of the stillness and being in the moment and meditation. And I got to tell you something, as much as I respect that ethic and those activities, I have never even tried, to be honest, but could never really get my mind around how do you slow your mind down? How do you meditate? How can you get that voice to stop talking to you? I find that a total.
Let me tell you how. Let me tell you
how.
And now meditation is wonderful. It's a wonderful practice, but then you eventually evolve and realize that meditation is something you are, not what you do. Because the ego takes a backdoor experience approach and comes in and says, oh, I like this meditation. We got to do this. We can do meditation. We meditate better than them. Or we got to meditate for this goal, this many days in a row. That's all BS. That's all the separate self taking advantage of the spiritual teachings. When you do, whatever you do, Stevie, like this radio interview, right there, you meditated. Right there. That's a Zen technique. When you do your radio show, you invest your being in the doing. How you do, what you do, whatever you do, how you do it, the being in the doing, the how and the now creates the wow. That's meditating. When you are fully invested in sports, we call that the flow. But that's meditation.
Yeah.
That is true meditation. Just reciting a prayer is not meditation. Anytime you lift off and project to the future or get pulled into the past, that's not meditation. That's the mind getting ready to cause you suffering.
Yeah. So some of my confusion has to do with the fact that I'm under the impression that to meditate properly and effectively, you need to be in a dark room, very quiet place with a candle burning, and you need a mantra or something. I hear you saying that you could probably, you could do it, sure, but you can also meditate on a subway on the way to work.
Totally. Look, just go outside, listen, place your attention lovingly on the sound of the birds, then place it on the sound between the sound of the birds, that absence of the bird tweeting, and then just be aware of all the sounds and non-sounds that come up and go off. And meditation is just don't be attached to whatever arises. Let it come like the noisy neighbor in, give them no coffee, no donuts, get out and just let them go. That's all it is. Mindfulness, as described by John Kabat-Zinn, who's the guy kind of coined the term for mindfulness-based stress reduction, and it's out of Massachusetts, but Google, everyone does it now. It's just placing your attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. That's mindfulness. If you really, really, really want to get a little deeper, Be aware that you're being mindful. Whoa. Yeah, now you're talking. So
Mhm.
brush your teeth. You're aware that you're brushing your teeth. Well, be aware that you're aware of you're brushing your teeth. You know that you're aware. That is really, truly the formless I am that you talked about.
Yeah, yeah, because so much of what we do on a moment by moment basis is automatic or without thinking, and taken for granted. But there's no stillness in that. We seem to be moving to the next thing all the time.
Oh,
Well,
that was me.
yeah, I brushed my
And
teeth
so
and I
Thich
got
Nhat Hanh, Thich Nhat Hanh is a famous, you may have heard of him, famous Vietnamese Buddhist monk. Martin Luther King Jr. nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize after the Vietnam War, and he's still alive. He's about 94. He's written tons of books, No Mud, No Lotus, all kinds of great books. But he says one of these great lines, don't wash the dishes to clean the dishes. Wash the dishes to wash the dishes. I know you get it, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
just
yeah,
get it.
yeah.
No outcomes, no expectations.
We would read. We read a lot of those days. Alan Watt and a lot of those
Oh,
guys.
I love Alan Watts.
Yeah, Christian Murty and a lot of them. And it was always about you'd read about these people who went to ashrams and spent the first 10 years sweeping. You'd go, what? What? Sweeping? Yeah, you got to get real good at sweeping. You got to get into sweeping. So I get it.
I dragged Diane, you'll like this, Steve. After Bhutan, I owed her. So then I said, come on, honey. And I took her to Maui to be with Ram Dass.
Oh,
Now, I know you know Ram Dass.
yeah, sure do.
Oh,
yeah,
I love him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and look, I mean, you're an amazing case in point because, as I said, the thing you're working on now, which is inward, probably there was a struggle there because you were this outside guy, you were this hard driver, so that you could reconcile your supposed nature with this new feeling is helpful for people, because I don't sometimes I just go that I couldn't do into that. Now, one of the things I know that has focused your attention lately is your health. You have been diagnosed with cancer recently. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It was the end of last year. It wasn't COVID. And you know me, I'm a fitness fanatic.
Yes,
to this day, nothing's changed. I still have the same pulse rate I had when you knew me 30 years ago. Everything, same. From working out to working in the woods. It's October. I had a squamous cell cut off me and basal cells. You know, the basic stuff you get cut off because half me's Irish. The Italian part, no problem. No one's going to get through the olive oil. But the Gaelic part, that just gets fried.
Stay out of the sun, Pat. Got to stay out of the sun.
Yeah. So I get it cut off, and now it's a couple weeks later, and I have on my sternum some kind of bump, and it's itchy, like really itchy overnight. So the next day I get up, and it's still like itchy. And I think maybe I got stung by something because I'm out in the woods a lot. I have this Zen path, really cool, 3 miles of paths I built, and so I put some cream on it. Nothing. I tell Diana, my wife, I said, man, Di, I got some itchiness. She goes, well, look at your chest. On my right pec, I had about a $50 size rash. So I had some prescription poison ivy cream, but I didn't have my shirt off in October outside in the woods, never, because of poison ivy and ticks. There's no way. So nothing. I call my dermatologist. I send her a picture. She sends me a 2.5% steroidal cream. I put it on for 2 weeks, twice a day as prescribed. I even do it for a little longer because I'm embarrassed it's not working. She says, come on in. Now I have to leave Meditation Hill here, go back to the main line, get a biopsy. Not 1 week, which is normal. 3 weeks. She calls me back just around my birthday, November 2nd. Pat, you have cutaneous on the skin T-cell lymphoma. I said, wait a second.
Yeah,
are you
what?
telling me I have cancer? She said, yes. Okay, what do I do about it? Boom. What do I do about it? She said, got to go to an oncologist. I did that Monday. I had the PET scan. Friday, I had the surgery. It looks like a pirate took a cutlass right across my chest. And then once that healed, I did the month of December radiation. And Stevie, people ask, and people who know me now know me. They said, well, what's the scale of angst from 1 to 10? It wasn't a blimp of 0, nothing, because it wasn't me. It was my body. It was not me. This body to me is just a cluster of thoughts, sensations, and perceptions fueled by desires and fears and rooted in memory, but it has nothing to do with who I truly am. When you talked about the I am that we all are, that universal presence. So it didn't bother me at all, nothing.
Is that
But what
right?
it did,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, let me ask you something. Before you go any further, you're on a roll, I know, but it's interesting. Do you think you would have had that kind of clear notion about your cancer had you not found the path you're on now?
Well, truthfully, I can never answer anything truthfully that's not in the present moment. Otherwise, it's conjecture. But I'd have to say, no way.
No
way.
Yeah, right.
No way. Because I thought I was my thoughts and feelings. I thought the voice I didn't even know there was a voice in the head. That's how bad I was.
And you've also, listen, you also dedicated a large portion of your life, much of your success, to the physical world, the body. So if cancer, what freaks people out about any disease, but certainly cancer, is that your body has turned against you. And you go, my goodness, it's not like an external threat now. I got this inside of me.
So and it's growing.
Yeah, and we got a problem here. So you have this stillness, this awareness that this thing is happening to your body, but not to you. And that has helped you immeasurably. I can tell you don't look like a guy who is freaking out about cancer. So the old Pat's a little bit in here, though, because you just don't sit around and go, okay, I'll deal with this. You go, you know what? Maybe I can help other people deal with this.
No, that's not what it was.
No, tell me how it happened.
Let me tell you, because I had told, I do this spiritual Sangha every Sunday for almost 2 years now. People, a couple hundred from all over the country. I was Zooming before Zoom. I should have invested in the stock.
Zoom,
the only would have. But so I asked Diane, and I write an inspirational spiritual tweet every morning for the past 4 or 5 years. And I said, Diane, I wish I could help more people awaken in the sense that they don't have to suffer. They may not get the full light of enlightenment that they truly are, totally take the veils off, but just to know that they have a choice. Buddha said 2,500 years ago, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Not the suffering with sorrow and grief with the loss of a loved one. That's rooted in love. I'm talking about the suffering that's rooted in fear, the suffering of anger and angst and frustration and disappointment and blame, shame, non-forgiveness, all that stuff. We have a choice. That doesn't have to affect us. So she goes, well, you're doing what you can do with the Sangha. Well, after I was diagnosed with cancer, my body, I went like this, Stevie. You're good. You're good. I felt like De Niro talking to Billy Crystal. You're good. Because what better channel than cancer? I mean, there's not 2 degrees of separation. There's not 1 degree. Everyone knows someone, if not themselves, who has been touched by cancer, the energy of cancer. So why not make that the channel of love? So I call the American Cancer Society in January. I tell them who I am. The lady, the director of VP of Philadelphia region, she goes, I know you are, Pat. I was wondering where you went. I said, I disappeared. I said, but I'm coming out of hiding. I'm coming off the mountain and I want to help. I said, I've been diagnosed with 1, possibly 2. I got this funky blood thing. But I said, I want to be active. I know if I come into the public eye, I can make a difference. And so she says, let me get back to you. No, I think she hung up and ran around with her hair on fire. Who knows? I love Paula, this lady, Paula Green. Now we become so tight. She comes back with a group of women and they say, Pat, we have this program in headquarters in Atlanta called Healed, Health and Energy Through Active Living Every Day. I said, whoa, I love that. Okay, what is it? She said, well, it was research done with 85 patients, cancer patients, with physical activity, protocols on the internet, and using survivorship with activity and showing unbelievable cognitive behavior, all kinds of great results. But in 2019, they ran out of money, so they just tabled it. I said, I'll take it on. I said, what do you got to raise? She said, well, first it's going to be about 2.5 million. I said, I'll put up 10% and I'll raise the rest. What else? What's next? She said, well, let me get everyone together and the scientists. And so I get another Zoom meeting and I said to the scientists, Dr. Urka, who you saw on the
yes, the other
gathering.
day, yeah.
I said to her, how long is this going to take? She said about 14 months. I said, nope, I'm not waiting 14 months. No, I want people affected now. I may not be here in 14 months. I want to affect them now. And that's when I came up with the community gathering, the HEAL community gathering, every Wednesday at noon for 1 power hour. I will come on and share with them insights, tips, bring on celebrities like Mike Schmidt, the famous all-star baseball player who shared his experience with melanoma. Scientists, doctors, nutritionists, warrior stories, cancer patients who have survived with the least amount of odds. And all of a sudden there's still, it's the kind of, Steve, if I can do it, you can do it. And people need this community to lean on. And I'm talking about caregivers, not just cancer patients, loved ones, family, friends.
Yeah.
This can help everyone lessen suffering.
Well, the beauty of it is it's fully recognizes that cancer is a family disease. Somebody gets cancer, the whole family sort of gets cancer. Pat Croce is our guest. We're talking to Pat about the journey he's on, which he continues on now to still his mind and center himself, and how he's bringing that to bear with the American Cancer Society and their HEALed program. We have a lot more questions for Pat and very little time, so just take a moment to pause and we'll pick up this fascinating discussion straight ahead. Behavioral Corner, coming right back.
Studies show that 2020 has negatively affected the mental health of millions of Americans. That is why at Retreat, we work to provide comprehensive mental health programming through our Synergy Health programs. To learn more about Synergy and the comprehensive mental and behavioral health services we offer, call us today at 855-802-6600.
Pat Croce's with us on the corner. We're talking to Pat about his cancer and the cancer of others. We've had cancer, something that would come up on the Behavioral Corner a lot. One of our best guests ever was a woman whose husband was diagnosed with very severe brain cancer, and she became his primary caregiver, and she lost him, during which time she also was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
she had some people get more than their share to carry on, but she did, and she to a large extent got a handle on it through yoga. And this is not, she's not doing this because she wants to sell you leggings or a mat. She's doing this because she has discovered, and she studied, there's a great yoga institute in Massachusetts in the Berkshires, where they teach people therapeutic yoga for cancer patients. And a lot of people who dealt with cancer or had cancer are stopped in their place when they hear, come on, the doctors are prescribing this, this, and this, and you're telling me yoga is going to have some kind of benefit for me? Well, yeah, turns out. I mean, she's very healthy, and she's teaching other people these skills. When I saw your healing gathering the other day, and you had your scientist on, Dr.
Erica Rees-Punea.
Yes, she was terrific. And she talked about the importance of cancer people struggling with cancer, dealing with cancer, to remain active. And I thought, what a marriage she's got here. There's a scientific notion, and there's a guy, who practically invented being active. So tell us, so people don't think, you guys are, these American Cancer Society, they're not snake oil salesmen. If they tell you that activity is good for cancer, it is. But in what way is it good, Pat?
So let's say that, you just said something interesting, because I said, what are you talking about? Who doesn't know that active lifestyle helps with everything? They said, the American Cancer Society has to have empirical data. Everything has to be research-based, whether it's smoking cessation or breast cancer or testing PSAs for prostate cancer, everything. So I said, you go do your thing, and I'm going to still blow the horn right now that get your ass off the chair and get active. And the beauty of it is a couple of things when you talk about active. Now we're talking about active living, Steve. We're not talking about 30 minutes 3 times a week, not that basic fitness protocol. That's not it. When we talk active living, we're talking 300 minutes a week, 300, and it can include gardening, vacuuming, cleaning the garage. Do things that are enjoyable, but that move the body. You don't have to lose your breath. You should still be able to whistle, but be active. You know, it's the old take the stairs instead of the elevator, park further from the store. It's just being active, because what you do, several things you do. One, you feel better when you have higher energy. It's about that elevating not only the physical energy, the chi, but also the vibrational frequency that you are, because you harmonize with a higher frequency, and you don't let the low vibe people pull you down into complaining, blaming, criticizing, judging. It's just a whole different mindset.
It's just a start. It's just for many people who are, particularly people who are just experienced cancer in their lives. It's a startling notion that among everything else you're supposed to do, you're supposed to walk up the stairs and not get on the escalator. And again, like I said, it's American Cancer Society. They're not selling snake oil. They need data. And we know that physical activity affects brain chemistry. And as you said earlier, if you want to change the way you're behaving, change the way you're thinking. And what better way to do that?
And Steve, she said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Dr. Erica mentioned a statistic that I couldn't believe was possible, that 70% of cancer patients, even survivorship, are not active.
Well, and it's, and here's the problem. You've got cancer. So the doctor says you've got cancer. You're not thinking, oh, I'll get back. You got to go to the gym. This is my gym day. That's, the paralyzing, the cancer, it's gotten better in our lifetimes. It's no longer the death sentence it used to be. It's now, in fact, we're moving to a stage where it's more of a chronic or acute disease in many cases, and that's good. But it does stop people in their tracks, the dreaded big C. So they don't think of a lot of things. They certainly don't think about activity. So this initiative is important because, let's face it, it's low cost, it's health, it's beneficial, and it's going to raise awareness about what needs to be done. This is almost like the low-hanging fruit in the battle against cancer. Now you have you've committed yourself to this program, Healed, and the healing gatherings, but you've raised a lot of money. You've raised over almost $2 million now, right?
Yes, in the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And everyone, Steve, I have to say right now, here's my snake oil. Everyone can participate. If you go to acshealed.com, acshealed.com, and make a minor investment in the curing of this disease and in the lessening of suffering for all who are touched by the disease, or those who are touched by those who are touched, whether it's $25 or if you can only $5. One, you get the link to be with us every Wednesday, East Coast time at noon. And two, you get this beautiful black lava bead bracelet. I took a page out of Lance Armstrong's Live Strong yellow band, and I thought, no, let's go with something that I wear anyway. And, and I wanted one green bead to represent the unity that we're all in this together. We're the same being, God's infinite being, shared amongst all these expressions. And this green stands for harmony, nature, renewal, and healing. So anyone and everyone, it's my dream. I had a dream to win a championship trophy for the Sixers and, that bring the city back. This is a bigger dream with a larger market share, that everyone wears this nice little bracelet. And whenever they are under stress, or anytime they find their mind vacillating into the future, or the talk in the head is just so incessant that it's causing them trouble, just feel that green bead. Feel it, touch it, and place your attention on the sensation between your finger and the bead. and you'll realize that that worry or angst you had is no more. Therefore, it's not real. It's not really you. If it comes and goes, it's not real. And so it's just a little portal to presence, I call it.
Ah, nice. Pat Croce, thanks so much. Again, people, to find out more about HEALed, the American Cancer Society's website will direct you to it. You can there throw a few dollars into the pot if you can afford it. But if you need information and guidance, and you want to get involved in these weekly healing gatherings that Pat presides over, I was at the inaugural one online.
Wasn't that fun?
Day. It was great. Yeah, no, it was great. Mike Schmidt looks fantastic. Your people are great. You had a cancer survivor who wasn't given 3 years. It's been 11 now. He's an inspiration. Listen, on just the basis of sharing the experience with others, it's a valuable thing. So, good for you, Pat. I expect nothing less. My best to Diane. I haven't seen her in a million years either.
Can I say something before I leave? Because this is for you.
Oh.
Before I did any public speaking, before I did any television, radio work, before I had the 76ers and had a press conference every week, I went and tutored under this man. I sat next to him, and he taught me the essence of radio. And he said, Stevie, you said this to me, that radio is the theater of the mind.
Yeah,
I remember to this day. And you said that take people into this theater and provide them with the show and describe it the best you can. And I never found anyone more adept at describing that show than you. And you know so much about so many things. I just thought, wow, I don't know if I want to follow this route.
Thank you, Pat. The theater of the mind thing, I think I stole from Orson Welles, but that's okay. Anyway, it was a great deal. And in return for those, I used to tell people I could teach anybody how to push a button, turn the mic on. I can't teach people to communicate. And then this guy comes in and they say, let him sit in with you, see what you can do with him. And I'm thinking, this is a gimme. This is ridiculous. In return for all that, Pat whipped me into the greatest shape I was ever in my life. One day I'll do a show. All you people out there who think that you're, working out at the gym, no, you're not. I'll tell you about working out at the gym. Anyway, Pat, I love you, miss you. I got to get up to Bucks County one day and lay my eyes.
Come visit.
Listen, thanks so much for this. I promise you the Behavioral Corner will always be there to help spread the word. Check us out, behavioralcorner.com. That show will be up in a short order. And check him out on the American Cancer Society and the HEAL program. Peace out. Pat, take care. Thanks so much.
Man, Stevie, you're so smooth. That was great. Thank you.
That's it for now. And make us a habit, hanging out at the Behavioral Corner. And when we're not hanging, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on the Behavioral Corner.